Good evening, I'm Anthony Robart. This is Crime Beat. Previously on Crime Beat.
She was just feisty. There was no ignoring Victoria Stafford.
Concern is growing tonight as police in Woodstock, Ontario search for a missing 8-year-old girl.
My nerves are shot and I can't handle much more.
You can actually see she's skipping along with the person, almost as if she knows them.
One of my friends called me and said, that's Terri-Lynne McClintic in that video. I called the police station right after I got off the phone with him and I told them.
Back off. Everybody back off this van right now.
There's discussion, like, previous to the day of the event with Mike saying, oh, would you ever kidnap somebody? He had made the comment about young female, so it'd be easy to manipulate.
Terri-Lynne's full
Well,
I didn't do anything.
Well, that's not entirely true.
That is entirely true. I didn't do anything.
Victoria was pretty much the first younger female that came out.
This is a girl you killed, all right? She's not missing anymore. She's dead.
I turned my head because I didn't want to see it. I could hear her calling my name. It seemed like you kick her a couple times, like a garbage bag over her head. Just a hammer.
8-year-old Victoria Stafford, kidnapped on her way home from school, raped, then murdered. Her body discovered weeks later, buried in a farmer's field under a pile of rocks. Michael Rafferty and his girlfriend, Terri-Lynne McClintic, both found guilty.
Not right now. I just want to enjoy this.
But this was not the last time that Tori Stafford's family would see or hear from Tori's killers.
Growing outrage tonight surrounding one of Tori Stafford's killers.
The injustice of Terri-Lynne being sent to a healing lodge.
Send her back!
There was phone calls saying his mother needed to provide money for protection inside. There's probably the equivalent of, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 worth of money.
His last day in court, and he said, if you want the missing pieces, then you can talk to me about it.
This fight for justice will never end.
And now, here's Mark Carcassole with Tori Stafford, Never Forget.
Unable to physically see his daughter, to talk to her, to wrap his arms around her, trips to the Oxford Memorial Cemetery are how Rodney Stafford has found solace since the guilty verdicts.
Yeah, it sucks. Like, it's the only way we can communicate with her.
How often do you come out here to see her?
I like to come out as often as I can anyways. I think the longest stretch I've gone without coming out here is maybe 4 months. Her birthdays are spent here, all holidays are here. It's not like her friends that are, able to continue moving on in their life, growing up, going to school. And that was stolen from her and all of us. We've had notes left out here from people from out of town who literally only came here just to see Tori's headstone and be a part of things and offer their support.
Woodstock, Ontario seemed to lose its innocence in 2009. Like Tori Stafford's family, many in the town who helped in the search, who attended the vigils, held out hope for her safe return to the very end.
This is a small town and not much happens here. I remember I couldn't believe she was dead. It just made me sick.
It's pretty sad what happened to her. I lived a couple doors away from Tori, and one day she came over to my house and said, "Hey Vince, there's a snake out there. I seen a snake." So she gets this stick, and then all of a sudden I heard her calling me going, "Vince, Vince!" And she had this snake by the head in a hole, and yeah, it was pretty awesome. I got her name tattooed on my hand, on my knuckles, because I knew her and I knew knew her mother, and I felt really bad for what happened, and I just wanted to get a tattoo of her name.
He lifts up his fist and shows me he's got Tori tattooed on his knuckles. And it's a guy named Vince, who I guess was your neighbor.
Yeah.
And so he told us this story about Tori one time, like finding a snake in the grass and calling him to
help her out,
catch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Years ago, Tara McDonald got her own tattoo to memorialize her young daughter.
That is incredible. The blue is perfect. They say you have to forgive and forget, and you have to try to heal for yourself. The anger will eat you inside out, and it does. But you can't do, I can't do anything about it.
By the end of 2012, Terri-Lynne McClintic and Michael Rafferty had both been convicted of first-degree murder. Rafferty was also convicted of kidnapping and sexual assault. Each was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years, though McClintic does have an opportunity to apply for it after 15 years with the Faint Hope Clause, a provision intended to promote prisoners' rehabilitation and encourage good behavior behind bars. It's no longer an option for newer convicts, but still exists for McClintic because she pleaded guilty a year before it was abolished. Almost immediately after his conviction, Rafferty started the process of appealing it, claiming the judge made an error in his instructions to the jury.
You're just putting everything back together, and you never know when it's coming. There's never any sort of warning, right? And it just pops up, and it's like old wounds being reopened every single time.
We've got no choice but to relive it until this is done.
Tori's family had to endure a 3-year wait for it to go to court. And when it did,
Justice for Tori!
It was over in half a day.
We can move forward and continue working on ourselves better, and yeah, he can go back and rot.
But any sense of closure they achieved in the years that followed was again shattered in late 2018.
Growing outrage tonight surrounding one of Tori Stafford's killers.
Terri-Lynne McClintic has been moved from a maximum security prison to an Indigenous healing lodge.
Coming up.
Life needs life!
Tori's family members aren't the only ones questioning the move.
Send her back! What do we want? Justice!
Tori's family is shocked when news breaks that Terri-Lynne McClintic has been moved to an Indigenous healing lodge just 8 years into her sentence. We now return to Mark Carcassole with Tori Stafford. Never forget.
Abigail, is there a perception McClintic will have it easier in this healing lodge than a conventional prison?
Well, Donna, healing lodges don't have traditional bars. The one in question in Saskatchewan is described as an open campus facility. They're designed to allow Indigenous offenders to practice their culture, and any offender can self-identify as Indigenous. No proof is needed. Terri-Lynne McClintic, like anyone convicted of murder, she began as a maximum security prisoner. But in 2014, she was reclassified as medium security.
Tori's father, Rodney, struggled with not just why Terri-Lynne McClintic was moved, but also how, given that during Michael Rafferty's trial, the public learned that McClintic had not exactly been an ideal inmate in prison, viciously assaulting another prisoner, later pleading guilty to it. This healing lodge, located in Saskatchewan, was a lower security facility. Healing lodges are designed for Indigenous offenders, offering elder services and ceremonies. And according to Corrections Canada, the main goal is to address the factors that led to incarceration and prepare them for reintegration into society.
Nobody knew that she was coming there, and it was, they put the whole town, in my opinion, they put the whole town at risk with the child killer being there.
This is a terrible decision. It's despicable. Why is this government and this prime minister not acting?
On this side of the House, we choose to anchor our decisions in fact, in the rule of law, and in due process.
When Tori's body was found, it was naked from the waist down. The autopsy revealed that she had suffered beatings that caused lacerations to her liver, broken ribs, and her death was as a result of repeated blows to her head with a claw hammer. Her killer, Terri-Lynne McClintic, has been moved to a healing lodge. The Prime Minister has the power to reverse this decision today. Will he stand with the family and ensure that this child murderer stays behind bars?
Please, do not continue to increase the level of graphic detail read into the official record here.
If the details of this horrific case are so awful that the Prime Minister can't stand hearing them, then he should do the right thing and make sure that the killer is behind bars.
Even the chief of the Saskatchewan First Nation, where the lodge is located, has spoken out.
Well, it is quite shocking, because of the crime.
It's a move even McClintic's adoptive brother questioned.
She's no more Indigenous than I am green from the planet Mars.
But two of the highest-ranking officials overseeing Canada's healing lodges would tell Global News that McClintic's move fit the rules.
We have a requirement to meet the spiritual and cultural beliefs of our inmates. And those individuals who are non-Indigenous who have decided that this is a sincere belief, we would actually be violating their charter rights.
Justice for Tori!
In response, Rodney Stafford and his family organized a protest on Parliament Hill and meetings with the Commissioner of the Correctional Service and the Prime Minister himself.
The injustice of Terri-Lynne being sent to a healing lodge.
Send her back! What do we want? Justice!
The killer's brother tells Global News he wished he could stand alongside these protesters.
For Mr. Stafford and busloads of people, I really, really hope that they can make an impact.
To me, he would be one of the best people to know who she is. And I couldn't be any more grateful.
Less than a week later, the government acted.
They will follow the rules, apply the policy. If that results in changes, then they will inform the family.
I got a call from Correction Service Canada stating that Terri-Lynne had been transferred from the healing lodge to back to penitentiary.
The federal government not only reversed course, but added several factors to the transfers of federal inmates, including their sentence length, behavior, and consultations with local Indigenous communities.
You can't heal. We have the memory of the day she was taken, the memory of when Terri-Lynne was arrested, the day Michael Rafferty was taken to court, Terri-Lynne was in court, the appeal, the injustice of her being moved to the healing lodge. Each one of those have their own day. That sticks with you.
Everyone has different ways of coping with grief. Rodney Stafford's has been to fight back, spinning his first rally in Ottawa into an online movement under the banner Justice for Tori, Protest for Change.
I've been basically advocating for victims of crime and other families, joining other families together and trying to create one main support for all of us, where we can all express our concerns regarding the correctional system, the parole board, all the way down to provincial jails. Like, the whole judicial system needs change. Anybody who's convicted of taking another person's life, you spend the rest of your life behind bars.
Rodney would soon find out that Rafferty had also been moved to a medium security facility in Quebec. The government's rationale was that it specializes in dealing with sex offenders. The office of then Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale provided a statement assuring that the correctional facility is suitable for Rafferty's incarceration. Quote, "The #1 priority of the correctional system is public safety. Buildings are fully surrounded by a guarded double fence with advanced security systems, both physical and electronic." People would say Terri-Lynne McClintic, Michael Rafferty, they may not be in maximum security, but they're never going to get out. What about rehabilitation? Why not make them better people? Why not educate them while they're behind bars?
Some people can be rehabilitated, but when it comes to child killers and the deviant and really heinous nature of the crime that they committed, there's no reason for these two to be walking on the streets again. If we hadn't have done that protest November 2nd of 2018, Terri-Lynne could be on her way out the door right now. There's nothing saying that the healing lodge wouldn't say, yeah, for the last 2-3 years, she's maintained this kind of lifestyle, so the parole board says, yeah, okay, let's work her into day passes. It happens.
Do you think Michael Rafferty will ever be a free man?
I think that people in the position of Mr. Rafferty start off from a real disadvantage. The National Parole Board average for people who are convicted of first-degree murder is that they get out on mean at 32 years, not at 25. And that only goes up and down based on what kind of offense it is. I do know that at every parole application, all sorts of people, including families of the victim, are invited to come and bring it forward. It's not like it's something that happens in the dark.
Fighting that fight, but trying to live a life, has it impacted your life away from that? Even just in terms of work, personal relationships?
Tremendously, tremendously. I can't keep my head focused. It takes one thing and it'll set you back weeks, months, years, whatever. It'll set you back. And trying to find the balance, it's hard, but we're getting through the day-to-day, barely, but we're getting by, and no matter what, this fight for justice will never end.
What the jury did not hear about Michael Rafferty's disturbing past. And a relative of Rafferty comes forward with unsettling allegations. That's after the break. Tori's father wants his daughter's killers to serve their full sentences in maximum security facilities. And he's about to gain a new ally. Here's Mark Carcassole with Tori Stafford, Never Forget.
When the jury was sent out to deliberate his fate, the public learned more about Michael Rafferty. Court documents ruled inadmissible for the trial revealed he had torture sex fantasies and searched for and downloaded child porn and snuff videos on his laptop. Women he dated said he was a serial cheater. One ex even testified that he convinced her to become an escort and lived off of her earnings.
If you've known Michael, this is sort of the personality that he's had his whole life. Manipulative, knows how to sort of sway people's opinions pretty easy.
Years later, Tori's father, Rodney, was joined by an unexpected ally in his call for Rafferty to stay in a maximum security prison.
And they said in order to be moved into medium, there would be some criteria to meet. One of them was admitting your guilt, but yet somehow he was moved into medium.
So he still to this day denies that he had anything to do with Tori Stafford's death?
Absolutely.
Speaking exclusively to Global News on condition of anonymity, a relative of Michael Rafferty's has come forward.
Yeah, I have been in contact with him from when he's gone in, just sort of relaying information from the family back and forth. The conversations were that you can't keep using your mother. You've made your bed, you need to man up, own up, and take care of your own responsibilities.
Rafferty's mother, Deborah Murphy, showed up only once during the trial, staunchly defending her son.
First of all, my son's innocent, and this could happen to any man that's walking around right now. Terri-Lynne McClintic has wrecked our lives, and I just hope that justice is served and that he's freed.
The relative we spoke to alleges that after he was convicted, Rafferty abused his mother's loyalty for years from behind bars, starting in maximum security.
There was phone calls saying that he had been in the infirmary. His mother needed to provide money for protection inside the maximum sort of facility.
He says the manipulative behavior continued once in medium security as of 2018.
When Michael was moved to medium, I guess he had been reaching out to his mother on a regular basis and sort of, getting money sent to him and sent to what seems to be inmates' spouses, claiming that he was fearful of his life, that he had owed people. You have to be on good behavior in medium, so you really shouldn't need much protection inside a medium security facility like you might need in a maximum.
Going through Rafferty's mother's records, her family found stacks of receipts and written documentation for checks and money orders sent out to dozens of people dating back several years.
We've got boxes and boxes of them. but there's probably the equivalent of $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 worth of money that is sent through to other people out there.
Just here, so this isn't even it?
That's not all of it, no.
These documents that you've given me, there's names here, addresses, money orders that were sent out by Michael Rafferty's mother. Who are these people?
I honestly don't know who they are. They're all Montreal and Quebec addresses, which is out where the facility is that Michael is being detained in. She didn't know anyone outside of her apartment building where she lived, so they're not friends.
We reached out to Rafferty to see how he would respond to the allegations, but he declined our interview request. We also contacted several of the individuals named in the documents, but nobody would corroborate this relative's story.
This is just him looking to get money to better his life and manipulate his mother, even after everything that's happened.
It's this relative's belief that Rafferty was legitimately threatened at times in maximum security, but that he's safer in medium security, and at both levels was largely taking advantage of his mother.
In our opinion, we were sort of looking at it thinking that he's pretty much extorted money from his mother. It wasn't for protection. It wasn't for the security or his well-being. It was for the well-being of his lavish lifestyle.
A lavish lifestyle allegedly centered around small perks and treats from the prison canteen.
If you could buy a block of cheese inside and you didn't have the money in your canteen, someone would get you a block of cheese. You owe them 2 blocks of cheese when it comes time to paying them back, or 3 if it's not paid on time.
So these people are essentially, he's paying them for favors.
Correct.
So really they're not threatening to beat him up, they're doing favors for him and he's paying them back.
That's correct.
Deborah Murphy died of a heart attack in August of 2018 at the age of 60.
She lost the house in that regard and ended up spiraling backwards, having to rent after the credit was no longer any good. She'd hide it, and she would borrow money from family members in order to send money to Michael because she didn't have it. And she was trying to find a way to cut him off. But the stories got deeper and they got more animated from him that she just couldn't. The stress of the constant phone calls and the struggle financially to try and keep supporting him in prison was just too much for her. When she passed away, his grandmother, her mother, passed away shortly thereafter. Once his mother was unable to facilitate finances to him, he started approaching his grandmother to do that.
Do you see Michael's mother and, in essence, I guess his grandmother, after all this, as his second and third victims in a way?
Absolutely. Our family 100% hold him accountable for both their deaths.
Emails show Rafferty's relative corresponded with CSC, the Correctional Service of Canada, for most of 2019, and he was told that the service would get back to him.
We started writing the government, asking them for an opportunity to explain what we found that was going on, why Michael should probably be in a maximum security facility as opposed to a medium security, and that was based on the fact that he clearly wasn't abiding by the rules, whether they knew it or not. But we had enough information that we could provide to them, and then we did provide to them over the period of time that you would think would warrant moving him back to at least help bring some closure for the Stafford family, that they knew that their perpetrators were in the appropriate facilities. And the conversation went back and forth for a period of about 1.5 years, ultimately with no outcome. We've yet to hear anything further from that.
We reached out to Corrections Canada. In a statement, a spokesperson tells us, quote, "We do take action in reviewing information about inmates brought to their attention from both victims and families." But citing the Privacy Act, CSC says it's, quote, "unable to comment on the specifics of an offender's case."
It's crazy, to be honest. It's very disheartening. And to know that his family is willing to make those steps as well to do what's right in this case, I couldn't appreciate it anymore.
Does that surprise you at all?
No. Like, I think that he's just a person who has his own agenda, and he's out for number one, and that's it. But he's a sociopath.
Coming up, Tara goes to meet Michael Rafferty face to face. As Tori's family tries to heal, her mother faces an uphill battle. We now return to Mark Carcassole with Tori Stafford, Never Forget.
This is her watching the cookies in the stove, because for some reason I think she thought that if she looked at them, that they would cook faster.
Over a decade later, the effects of all the news coverage still follow Tori's mother, Tara.
I don't want people to place that stigma on me.
And that's something you're still dealing with today?
Oh yeah, like all the time. And even in a small community, like I'm in a tiny town, and people still look at me and like whisper, and Woodstock is even worse. I can't even go to Walmart there. Like, it's constantly, you feel like everybody's staring at you, everybody's scrutinizing you.
Today, Tara lives in another town, taking comfort in her new puppy, Capone, who's been sitting at her feet, chewing on his toys the entire time we've been talking. But comfort has been hard to come by. During the search for Tori Stafford, her mother Tara's front lawn became the site of daily news conferences, intensifying the media coverage, keeping the story front and center. Even earning a segment on America's Most Wanted.
There were days where, like, I would have to have pep talks. Like, my aunt would be like, you gotta do this, Tara. You've got to keep her face front and on the papers. You need to keep it fresh and keep it in everybody's mind. So if they see her, then they recognize her. You've got to do this for her. And then me and Rodney were getting into it, and the tension was getting high.
You are showing a total lack of support for your daughter.
You know what? You want to talk about a lack of support for my daughter. Where the hell were you for the last 9 years?
Okay.
It wasn't done on purpose, but I mean, it kept the media involved.
And Woodstock is full of rumors and stories and crap, to be quite honest with you.
Get your off the yard. Now.
The media attention fueled speculation, much of which insisted, wrongly, that Tara was involved in her own daughter's kidnapping. Having people build their idea of who you are as a person just generated on what they see and hear and read in the news, does that, going forward now, make it hard to trust people?
Oh, definitely. Like, I have huge issues. That's why I live in a controlled entry building. Like, our privacy was so stripped.
The pressure led Tara back to old demons, OxyContin.
And I started using again at that time because it was the only way that I could function. I couldn't even imagine trying to get clean at that time. I'm like off the wagon, because that's the only thing that kept me going, was doing pills and getting through to the next day. It was like 1 minute after another, and that's it.
Quiet and unassuming are just some of the words that residents here used to describe their city. That was up until recently.
It's starting to turn into a scary city.
Becoming the focus of a nationwide nightmare gave the city exposure it never had before, warts and all.
This is not a bad place. This is a fine city. It's a hard-working city, a resilient city, full of good individuals and good families who cared very much about our investigation and supported our investigation. And yes, there is a drug situation, a drug problem here in Woodstock in our Oxford County, but it's the same problem that every county and every city across this province and this country is facing.
Tori's mother had been to Terri-Lynne McClintic's home twice while her partner bought pills for McClintic's mom. McClintic was an addict. So too was Michael Rafferty.
Are you comfortable telling me how long you've been on oxys?
I've taken painkillers for years.
No question in my mind. Drugs were a thread that ran through this investigation because Rafferty and McClintic were drug users. But the two people and the two people alone who are responsible for this horrific crime that was inflicted on Victoria are Rafferty and McClintic.
Looking back, it's a case Rod Freeman, personally, will always feel connected to. The day Tori's body was discovered always marks a bittersweet anniversary. By sheer coincidence, it's the same day he was promoted to chief of the local police force.
I was presented with a framed photocopy of the verdict sheet from the Rafferty trial. And it just serves as a reminder for me of that investigation and the fact that we were successful in acquiring a conviction. I've also, during the trial, I was given a couple of ribbons, Tori ribbons, by Victoria's grandmother, Doreen. And I keep one of those ribbons in my home office downstairs. Again, just as a reminder of a challenging and difficult investigation. Because my kid is the same age, 1 month difference from Victoria, you know, it's a daily reminder that she should have enjoyed life like he has and like he will in the future.
Michael Rafferty never took the stand in his own defense. But on May 15th of 2012, the day he was sentenced to life in prison for killing Tori Stafford, he was offered a chance to make a statement to the court and spoke, only briefly, to one person.
He looked at me his last day in court and he said, if you want the missing pieces, then you can talk to me about it.
I remember when he stood up in court and said that to you.
It was haunting. And so for 3 years, waiting for his appeal to be over, like I would dream of what he was saying. And he was in the courtroom, he was telling me the straight, honest to God's truth of what happened. And his mouth is moving and I can't hear what he's saying, and I would wake up agitated and like I'd have like my nails would be embedded into my hands and I just wanted like freak right out.
Restorative justice allows victims and their families to speak to their victimizers and personally address the harm done.
And that's what I found a bit of peace when I did the restorative justice, because I was able to ask him about her final hours that weren't brought up in the courtroom. Things that are my own that I don't have to share with anybody ever, and I never have since I did the restorative justice program.
But Tara was willing to share some details with us.
I mean, I didn't want to know like her demise. That was not what I wanted to know. I wanted to know from the time she was picked up from school until the time they went to that field, what was Victoria doing at that point and in those times. And so that was something that was shared with me. And there was actually one story that made me laugh. Like he gave her an iPod to put on because they were going to discuss something and they didn't want her to hear, so they gave her an iPod. And it was when Terri-Lynne was in the Home Depot. And he goes, do you know how to use the iPod, Victoria? And she's like, yeah, like I'm 8. And I was like, that's perfect. And so when she told me that story, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's all Victoria. Like, and maybe it's denial, maybe it's running away from, but it's the only way that a mom can function with what we've had to hear. And I'm grateful to him for sharing those with me, but at the same time, those shouldn't have been my daughter's last memories. He reiterated that he's not as involved as everybody was expecting. And I don't know whether or not to believe that or not. Like the police chief, he said he's a sociopath. At the same time that I was doing it with him, she applied to do restorative justice with me as well, and I denied her.
She being Terri-Lynne?
Yeah, because I don't know why I have such a hate on Moore for her to lie the way she did and say for 3 years when she had her trial, like her one day in court, she said it was him. He killed her, and then she gets on the stand and we're depending on her because she's the only witness that there is to stick with that story, and she changes her story and says I did it. And I'm like, what do you believe? Because I've heard her side, I've heard his side, and the only person that can tell us the truth is Victoria. So like I don't even know, even now all these years later, I still don't have the answers that I thought I would get from a trial.
Though she still finds herself tortured by the things she did learn.
I won't walk down the aisle where the hammers are. I can't use a hammer. I use shoes, like high-heeled shoes, because I just cannot even look at a hammer without feeling sick to my stomach. I can't use a certain color of garbage bag.
Rodney Stafford and Tara don't talk anymore, and Tara spent the years staying out of the spotlight that burned her so badly.
I'm grateful to Rodney for fighting the battles that he has when it comes to Terri-Lynne and the Healing Lodge, and he went and met with Trudeau, and I'm proud of him for stepping up like that, But for me, I just can't do it. I feel like Rodney's fighting those battles, so I don't have to. I don't find healing in it. I don't have the strength. Like, I have to save what I got left.
And she's needed a lot of it. She sought treatment for her OxyContin addiction, and her grief has taken her to some dark places in the years since, including the passing of her ex-partner, James, the man considered Tori's stepdad.
He was the only person that understood at the level that I understand of what happened, and that can commiserate with me, and that we can talk about what we went through, and there's nobody to do that with now. It's something like my therapist said, you're never ever gonna stop blaming yourself. It's just gonna be a constant, like a failure. You feel like you failed your child. So like there's so many long-term repercussions of what happened that people don't understand either. Like once the trial's over, life doesn't go back to normal. It never goes back to normal.
Coming up, changes to the Amber Alert system following a police-led review. Tori's family is more determined than ever to keep her legacy alive. We return now to Mark Carcassole with the conclusion of Tori Stafford, Never Forget.
In the summer of 2008, Tori Stafford took what her family says was her favorite vacation, to visit some paternal relatives in Alberta. A trip that was supposed to be the first of many now holds some of their most cherished memories of her.
We were just outside of Canmore, and we stopped on, I think it was Highway 1A. There's this little spot where there was this stream coming down the mountain, and I remember we were all trying to stick our toes in it, and Tori's walking around through there and just having a great time walking back and forth, and I'm just thinking, how are you managing this kid? Like, I can't even stand that cold. It was so intense. My father-in-law tells her to be careful because you don't know what animals are relieving themselves up the mountain into the stream.
Good stuff, huh?
Excellent. That's awesome. I hope the animals come down here and no wonder.
Just the memory of her dancing in the stream is just how I want to remember her.
The energy of an 8-year-old, it was insane with her, wanting to climb, go to the top of the mountain.
In her flip-flops.
In her flip-flops, no less. Yeah, that's my favorite picture of her, because she's smiling and happy, and I don't know. She's just a loving little girl.
This is a teddy bear that my father-in-law bought for Victoria. My father-in-law's father's name was Fred, so they landed on naming the bear Freddy Bear. So this is Tori hugging Freddy Bear shortly before we ended up at that mountain stream. And I actually have Freddy Bear in the house. He's upstairs, warm and safe.
She loved her mom, she loved her dad, she loved her brother. More than anything in this world, she loved her brother.
In a statement, Tori's older brother, Darren, who was 14 years old at the time of Rafferty's sentencing, said, quote, "My sister was the only person I had to talk to, someone that felt what I felt, cried when I cried, laughed when I laughed. And now I feel alone, like the world is playing a sick trick on me. But it's not. This is my reality." Darren has stayed out of the public eye since his sister's death.
He's doing amazing, like better than I could have ever expected. He has taken his grief and his trauma, and he's not let it consume him.
For all the heartbreak associated with her name in her hometown, Tori's story has helped create change far outside the boundaries of Woodstock in multiple ways, including a donation to build a well for a village in southern India.
Instead of having to walk 5 miles a day to get water, now they just walk to the edge of the village. Somehow or another, the Victoria's story has touched that person's heart, enough to want to help others in their kind of way, and that's going to help generations.
An unfortunate lesson learned during the search for Tori has also led to improvements in Ontario's Amber Alert system. Despite the pleas of local police, Tori's disappearance didn't qualify for an alert.
My inspector of operations did contact the OPP twice, asked for an Amber Alert to be issued, and was told that no, that our investigation didn't meet the very narrow criteria of the Amber Alert program at that time.
Less than 2 months after her disappearance, following criticism of the system, a police-led review was announced.
I was invited to be part of those discussions up at OPP headquarters with their civilian board that oversees the Amber Alert program. And we talked about the difficulties of that narrow criteria and our circumstances with Victoria going missing. And that board and the OPP listened and understood our circumstance, and they then broadened the criteria that now is being applied.
Certainly the Stafford case drew some attention to the Amber Alert and was a catalyst for Commissioner Fantino calling for a review of the Amber Alert program. Wording for the guidelines was simplified and streamlined so it's more easily understood.
Officers no longer need proof of an abduction to issue an alert that's broadcast on highway signs, over radio or TV. Now they only have to believe a child is in danger.
I try to think that if things change, like the Amber Alert, and something positive comes from losing Victoria, it doesn't make me feel better, but it definitely doesn't make it as bad because something good came from it.
The good things are what Tara tries to focus on as she charts a new path. She says she's now a doula, helping bring new life into the world while remembering the one that she lost.
My doula mentor, she had mentioned that her mom does quilting. And I was like, oh, really? Because I had seen like memory blankets made before. Like she would ask her mom if she would make one for me. And she did. And it is beautiful. She put like a little note. It was a great honor to be asked to make a memory quilt to represent the life of Tori Stafford. Tori's hat that she came home from the hospital in has that hideous christening gown in the middle, and then it has like the ugly Christmas dress. She even put pictures of us on it. It has like her Bratz lunch pail, has her Harley Davidson overalls from when she was a baby, like all the good stuff, all sewn into a huge, beautiful quilt. When people say to me all the time, they're like, oh, you're so strong and you're the strongest person I know. And I'm like, well, what other option is there, right? Like, I guess I could cave and fold up and just not get out of bed every day, but like, where's that gonna get anybody? Like, that's not gonna be celebrating Tori's life, and she wouldn't have wanted that.
Today she would be 20 years old.
Yeah.
What do you think she would be like now?
It's still feisty for sure. I think about when she was a teenager, how we would have butt heads, because we were so much alike.
Who's to say she might not have been the one to cure cancer? The limit was endless at that point. She could have been anything she wanted to be. My daughter's life and mine and my whole family's life, our community, our friends, have all suffered because of it. It's hard, but you know, it's the only way I get to remember her is like this.
Terri-Lynne McClintic can apply for parole as of 2024 after serving just 15 years of her 25-year sentence. Michael Rafferty can apply for day parole as of 2031 and full parole in 2034. The family's wounds are sure to be reopened, but today they focus on remembering Tori, the feisty 8-year-old girl with an unforgettable presence. I'm Anthony Robart. Thank you for joining us tonight on Crime Beat. Want more episodes of Crime Beat? Listen to the Crime Beat podcast now for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And for past episodes of Crime Beat, check out our YouTube page or download the Global Go app to watch on your phone.